immensely exciting.
It's amazing, he still has 3 productions in the main repertoire, Lulu, Billy Budd,
Billy Budd,
And
which
Don-
is still the greatest opera production I know.
and Duologue of the Carmelites.
And the Carmelites,
Which
yes.
and they're still shocking and they're so alive to this
Yes.
day.
Well, they have an interior life. It is
But did you
extraordinary.
bring him this play while you were writing it to see if
No,
you finished it?
yes. And I got a letter one day. No, it wasn't a letter, it was a phone call. And a voice here said, I'm Dexter. My name is Dexter. Remember it.
Did you know him? Did you know him? Did you
No.
send him the play? Who did you send the play to?
I didn't send it. I sent it to a friend who was working at that time for the National Theatre and offered it to, well, left it on a pile of scripts. And John Dexter, who prowled about, he was one of the directors of the National Theatre, prowled about picking up all the scripts that were lying about, and he read it and saw it and said, this is for me. And he called me and said, this is Dexter, remember it. And I can't remember what I said. I said, I'll do my best. I think something like that. And he was directing at that time Laurence Olivier in Othello. And he said, it's very difficult dealing with Larry, but I'd like a nice holiday from Larry if I can come to you at weekends. And I said, what do you mean for? I'm going to want to read it to you, he said, your play. And I said, he said, I'll come next Saturday and the Saturday after. I'll give you Act 1 on next weekend, and I'll give you the second act on the second weekend. And you weren't allowed, of course, I got this quite quickly.
Did you live in the country?
If you have any answer to any of this, you will get this.
Did you live in the country? Did you live in the city?
No, I lived in London. I was.
He's just going to come to your house.
Yes, yes. And he did. And he read it very well. He had been an actor. What I feared was that he would make each scene sound that he didn't like. Any bits he didn't like sound tedious. He didn't. He acted the bits that he didn't like even better than the other bits. He was perfectly fair, but as I implied, belligerent. And we came to the very line that you were talking about well, let me put it this way. I knew what I wanted in the scenes where the conquistadors ascended the Andes and crossed them in full armor. But I didn't quite know how to describe, except in prose, but not in stage direction, how they did it. But I think I did sufficiently to make it look quite interesting. And I hadn't quite decided what I wanted. So in the end, I removed almost everything except the stage direction. They now climb the Andes. And I thought, John is going to be furious at this silliness, as he might have been. And he was going to come to that page in reading on the next page. He now climbed the Andes. And as he turned the page, I thought I'd better explain what I wanted. And I said, would you stop a moment? And I'll never forget this. And he said, if you're thinking of taking this out, that line, I'm not directing. And I found my director. I said, John, I wrote this play for that line. And its children.
Why I bring this up is we live in a theater now which is so cautious.
Yes.
Cautious, and the idea of a playwright saying they crossed the Andes
That's all I wrote. Yes.
is, I don't even know, I don't know how to address, sometimes working, I teach playwriting, and with my students to get them to say that, to get them to that kind of size, that kind of courage. That's what really impressed me about your making that leap.
Yes.
From, which is sort of an astonishing, a miraculous leap, being in a bed. Maybe it was the fever, maybe it was your bleeding ulcer, put you in a fever that made you that leap. They got you out of the well-made place, which is a recognizable world,
yes,
and put us into another hallucinatory
yes,
world.
And I decided not to describe it. I mean, I'd written several pages about how they did, and I thought, no, this is wrong. I just leave it like that. They climb the Andes. Because what I want is now a director who will be my director, who will see the same attitude.
Since this is going to be published in the Drama School magazine, it's wonderful to see so many young playwrights who put in their place a stage direction that tells how to do it.
Yes.
That how to make the effect happen, you
yes,
know, and just that simplicity to let the production solve the problem.
Let whoever turned out to be John Dexter.
Yes.
And
did you rewrite the play much? I mean, did he ask for many rewrites?
No, well, one had
other than
a number of rewrites, but not that. No. If you take that out, I'm not directing. He said.
Yes.
And it's similar to. Remember that we did in the second act very elaborate things. The gold, the treasure melted down, the extraordinary and horrible description of the virtual ruin of all the works of art in Peru, which are immense gold statues. Everything was done on the stage by John stylizing it and devising wonderful effects. All of it is then described by the narrator. There is a narrator against a background of John's extraordinary inventions.
Yeah. You just had a revival of it. It's been revived recently.
Yes, it was done by Trevor Nunn 2 years ago.
And were you happy with the revival?
Not really.
Why? Did Trevor do lots of video things in it, or?
He did good things, but I so much preferred the first ones, which had John's glorious austerity.
Austerity.
Yes. That I preferred it. But Trevor's was good. He's a wonderful director. But I preferred John's.
And I want to ask you, then you came to, now I'm getting my chronology straightened out, is black comedy.
Oh, yeah.
White Lies. And was that again was a shocking to go from this enormous epic of Peru to these, again, back to 2 one-acts.
Yes. Well, it wasn't one act. So it was only one act at first. It was written at that time. Black comedy was written to go with Strindberg's Miss Julie. Yes. And I was.
What an odd combination.
Well, no, very good combination, because I realized that. Let me tell you the story, if I may. Ken Tynan was the what is that name?
Dramaturg.
Dramaturg. Yes, I never know what that means. But he was on the staff, and he was responsible for organizing the new plays. And he was having lunch with me, and he said, "Do you have something in your bottom drawer?" It's nonsense, but authors have bottom drawers in which have masterpieces. And I said, it could go with Miss Julie, because Maggie Smith and Albert Finney are doing Miss Julie this season. And we want somebody to go with it. And I said, well, I don't know. I have nothing. And I thought, and I said, well, I have a desire to do something, but it would have to be, of course, after the grimness of Miss Julie, it has to be.
And it would follow Miss Julie.
Yes.
Even worse.